Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. I am Aradia Arcanum. Welcome to Arcanum's Dark Light. This video was requested. However, this was something I wanted to do. I am going to be talking about my experience with the Primal Craft current and working with Hekate Lucifer and Belial. While they each deserve their own dedicated video, I wanted to put my experience with them initially working within the Primal Craft current. So this may have been about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where I stumbled across, and I don't know if I was looking for something, because I wasn't at the time quite working within like the darker path of things in spirituality. So the Primal Craft current was my introduction into the dark path, if you will. So I was doing a little surfing on the internet, and I ran across a video where a woman was talking about the Queen of Hell. And the Queen of Hell is a grimoire that is Hekate's grimoire. And it was written through channeled gnosis by Mark Allen Smith. So it intrigued me. First of all, I saw the book and it was beautiful. So that caught my attention. And of course, the Queen of Hell caught my attention. So I did a little digging, did some research, and decided that I wanted to purchase this book. Now if you go on the website, there are several books. There's standard and deluxe, but I'll get into that a little later. So I purchased the Queen of Hell, and I had begun my work with Hekate. So first, when I got the book, each of the books is comprised of the gnosis of rites, rituals, and initiation and spells and things like that, an incorporation of all of these things. So I purchased the book, and then once I was ready, I did my invocation with Hekate, and did the initiation or rite into the Primal Craft current. And I remember that night very vividly. I didn't know what to expect. As a matter of fact, after the invocation was done, I didn't feel anything at first. But after it was done, days after, I began to have a lot of activity within the astral realm, and gone places and seen things that I have never experienced. So it was very, very vivid, seeing different beings and things like that. That's a whole nother video. But it was a lot of activity in the astral once I initiated into the Primal Craft current through that invocation, rite, initiation with Hekate. And upon that time, I believe I created her sigil at that time. I created her sigil on a wood disc. And what I do with the wood disc, I engraved the sigil, and then I blooded the sigil, which means I essentially gave my blood as a dedication to Hekate. So, and then that in itself is a whole nother video. But so this is what I did. I begun my work reading and learning all of the gnosis within the realms of the Primal Craft current. And then, so working with Hekate at that time, because this was my first time working with Hekate, she, for me, was very instrumental in my road through shadow work. I had begun shadow work already. You know, once I understood, I came into the spiritual world, I understood what shadow work is, because it's this popular phrase, right? So I understood what it was, but when I began to work with Hekate, she took me deeper. I guess I was just touching the surface of the shadow work. So when I began to work with Hekate, she took me deeper and was sort of a guide to helping me unlock and tap into the things that I needed to work through. So she was very instrumental in that, and it was a necessary thing for that part of my path and my journey. So the next thing that I did, because within the realms of the Primal Craft, there are three main gods, beings, entities, and this is Hekate, Lucifer, and Belial, which is a part of the Trident. So initially, when you are going to begin working within the Primal Craft current, you begin your workings with these three. So the next thing that I did was purchase the book for Lucifer, which is the Red King. So I purchased that book. And a little bit about the books: you can purchase a standard copy, which is a beautiful grimoire, and then you can purchase the deluxe. So I have a couple of deluxe books, but I got that later on in understanding that this was something that I loved working with. And before I go any further, I want to just explain, the reason why I continued to buy the books, because once I began working within the Primal Craft current, this was an energy that was very familiar to me. Once I tapped in, it was like, okay, this was the missing link to my path, to my spirituality. So it felt like home. And in hindsight now, looking back, this was the first time that I worked within the darker realm. So what I was feeling was the feeling of home working within the darker realm, not necessarily within the Primal Craft current, but as a whole, just working on a darker path. So after I purchased my book for Lucifer, and I did the same thing. Once you receive the book, what you initially do is, you prepare yourself, read through it, and then you want to work with that being, that entity, that God. So I got the book, and then I prepared myself. I did the invocation for the first time with Lucifer. I did the invocation and initiation through working with Lucifer within the Primal Craft current. And working with Lucifer and I also created a sigil for him as well. So working with Lucifer was like his energy, his presence was this dark, majestic, royal presence. And working with him was like he was a teacher. He was guiding me. It was like things started to reveal themselves, things that was necessary for me to understand this part of my journey. So he was definitely, as they say, the light bringer. He opened up my eyes to a lot of things. It was almost as if things begin to like fall in my lap or present itself, and it was like a lot of aha moments. So that was my initial experience with Lucifer. So next would be working with Belial. So I then purchased the book, but it took me a moment, because you hear a lot, if you are within the darker occult and you understand a little bit about working with demons, you may have run across people's experience, or people sharing their experience when working with Belial. And it's not all the time, a lot of times it's a scary experience, or it's just an overwhelming experience. So I was a little hesitant, but because I was determined and I know that everyone's experience is personal, so I went into it making sure that I didn't have any fear. So I purchased his book, which is called The Scorpion God. And so I purchased that book, and I went like an extra step because I was like, you know what? I was all about conquering fear. So when I got the grimoire, I slept with it for the first night under my pillow, and I remember feeling on my way to sleep. I wasn't all the way asleep. I remember feeling like this heavy pressure on my chest. It passed quickly, but I remember it till this day. I remember feeling it. But I didn't have any. Didn't do any astral traveling. After that, I just went to sleep. However, again, the activity in the astral picked up. What was happening throughout this experience was there was a lot of, not a lot, but there was initiations going on within the astral realm as well as the physical. So when you initiate into whatever it is that you are doing the rite for, it happens in the astral as well as the physical. So this is why a lot of activity picked up in the astral for me. So working with Belial, I did the invocation, invoking Belial for the first time, and I remember like hearing like this buzzing sound, and other people, and I'm itching my ear now just thinking about it, but I've heard other people talk about this as well. So I had my invocation with Belial, created his sigil, blooded his sigil as well, and I remember feeling, after that, I remember feeling this heavy presence of like protection. Till this day, I call him like, he reminds me of an uncle. That is this cool uncle that you could go to that will protect you and guide you and doesn't sugarcoat his words. so and then I remember for the first time seeing him in the astral, he showed himself, well, at least a version of himself. I didn't see everything like it was more like you saw this black, wasn't a shadow, but it was like this black black figure, and very stout, tall man. And he was standing there just like, standing there with this strong presence of, I am here and I am guiding you and I will protect you. So that is, I have had, working in the Primal Craft current, I have had a great experience working with these gods, these beings, demons, whatever you want to call them. So this is my initial entering into the darker path, and I am no longer working within that current today. That is not because something happened or something went wrong. As a matter of fact, I had continued purchasing some of the books. So right now I think I have about 7, because I have 2. So for Hekate, the Queen of Hell, I have a deluxe book. And for Lucifer, I have a standard. For Belial, I have his standard and deluxe as well. And then I have The Altar of Sacrifice, the Book of Cain, and the Witch's Blood Grail. So I believe that's it. But so if you want to know about the books, because after I purchased these books, there were more that were created. So if you are interested, do go over and check out the Primal Craft website, where it has all of the books that Mark Allen Smith created. So that is my experience with these beings. I work with them until today. As a matter of fact, I have a working going that I'm working with them, and yeah. So I even got their sigils tattooed on me. I have Hekate sigil here, and I talk about it all the time, but I have Belial and Lucifer's sigil tattooed. It is because this was a pivotal moment in my life where I took that turn and went to the darker side to continue my path and evolution. Because as I always say, I am the witch of dark light. You can have one without the other, the dark without the light. So I needed to understand that, and it just so happened to be that this is something that is familiar to me in my past life and who I am. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I just wanted to come on here and share this. And I probably will later on down the line do a dedicated video to Hekate, a dedicated video to Lucifer, and a dedicated video to Belial and their attributes and ways that you can work with them. But this is my experience, this is my personal gnosis, and this is how I worked with these beings. Time for ritual in the dark of the night, with a sharp pierce that will bring life. As the deep red crimson liquid flows, it holds power for all who knows. The awakening warmth as it is released, a crimson beauty, a magnificent sheath. There is war, death, and passion in your embrace, but also the power to illuminate. Blood of my blood, since the beginning of time, a life-giving force, a great divine. So that is it for today. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. But until the next video, I love you all, and into the shadows.